Hi everybody and welcome. I am so glad you're here today. In today's video, I'm going to be answering some of your commonly asked questions about tapping. I've been noticing a lot of questions have been coming in, so I wanted to dedicate a short video to address some of those questions. Now, if you are looking for something more in depth about how to do tapping, how to structure a tapping script, how it works, what's the mechanism behind it, I do offer an online course and I have a paperback book and an ebook, and I will put links to all of that below the video. So please check out that if I don't cover your question here, because I got lots more information in those resources. So the first question I want to address is one that a lot of people experience, and that is, why is it that when I tap, I find that I'm crying? Is this normal? The answer is yes, it is so normal and it is so good, and I would encourage you to let the tears come if they come up while you are tapping. Here's why it's happening. When we are tapping, what we are doing is we are talking about out loud. We are saying the experience that we are having, the painful experience, the limiting beliefs, the trauma, whatever is going on. We're getting our feelings out and we are speaking them out loud. Our own ears are hearing us say that. We are owning it. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm experiencing. And then when we start talking about through the tapping, when we say, and I can change this, and I love myself, and I accept myself, I have compassion for myself, I know that I'm strong, I know that I'm empowered, and so on. When we start saying that, again, we are standing in our power. How often do you talk about these things out loud? How often do you say them? I feel, I am. You're saying I statements, and you are owning it completely. As you say these things, when the tears come, it's because you are feeling it. And when we cry, what's happening is we are feeling things. We're not holding it in, we're not suppressing it, we're not being stoic, we're not restraining ourselves. We are allowing ourselves to be fully present with those feelings. And many times in life, we don't do that. We suppress our feelings. So when we're crying, we are fully in the present moment and we're feeling our feelings, and then we release it. So if the tears come, I encourage you, just let those tears come, let the river flow and let it wash away the pain, wash away the feelings. That is part of the healing process, and tears are some of the best medicine that we have. The next question is a really great question, and that is, how many cycles or how many repetitions, how many times should I repeat or tap about a particular topic? Now that may mean like how many minutes should I be tapping about it, or it may mean like how many days do I tap about this particular topic? Couple parts to this answer. The first is, you really have to look at, how do you feel when you're tapping about a topic? Do you feel like, are you just tapping about it from a surface level? Are you staying kind of in the intellect, in the head, like you're going through the motions and you're tapping and you're repeating the stuff and you're like, okay, yeah, and you don't feel much different afterwards. So if that's your experience, I'd say you haven't gotten to the root yet, keep at it. So go, try again the next day when you sit down to do your tapping. Tap about it again and see, do you feel any different? You might have a sense of, maybe a little better than the previous time, but I'm not quite there yet. And I would say, okay, do it again the next day. Put it down, go back and tap about it again the next day. Sometimes if we are dealing with something that is hard for us to awaken to, it's hard, it's really buried, it's really deep in our subconscious, it may take several days, it may take a couple of weeks for us to fully connect the mind and the heart to that issue. It may take us time to see, okay, and finally make that connection. We're like, okay, I see where I'm doing that. I see how I'm thinking that. And it's just so automatic that you don't know. So if you're feeling like you're just going through the motions of your tapping, that's your first clue. If you feel like as you're tapping, you are feeling it, you're making that connection, and it's not just that you're in your head, that's when you're connecting on a deeper level, and that is when you're getting to the issue. The second part of my answer to this question is notice for certain behaviors or thought ways of thinking that are so entrenched in us, you may have to come back and revisit those later. So let's say it's something like believing in your worthiness and having self-esteem. And you are so used to not having that. You're so used to putting yourself down. So you may find that, okay, you tapped about it, you feel like you got to the root, you made a deeper connection, you feel it, you see it. Okay, so you're going along, you're doing really great. And then some time goes by and then you start to slide back into that old way. And because that's so familiar and has been such a big part of your life, you may not realize that you're doing that. So I would say there are certain topics that you want to revisit as like a maintenance. That you have the tendency to slide back in, or you may not know, but I would encourage you to kind of think about that there's certain things you have the tendency to slip back into. So it's good to revisit them to make sure, like giving yourself a tune-up to make sure that you are on top of your game, that you're in the best place that you can be with that issue, because we can slide back into old stuff and not realize it. So that's the second part. So tap until you feel like you've made a connection with an issue, and then after that, you may not feel like you need that to tap about that topic, but also come back periodically and revisit it just to kind of reaffirm and re-strengthen yourself. The next question is, can tapping help with deeper issues like abandonment, abuse, trauma, things like that? And I think that yes, tapping can absolutely help with those issues. However, it may not be all that you need. If we are healing really, really painful things that we have been through, I would absolutely encourage you to seek out as much support as you need. So if you are doing tapping on your own, that is wonderful. That's an excellent tool that you have, and you can do that anytime. But if you also feel like you need more help, more support, and more guidance, I absolutely encourage you to seek out the help of a counselor, a therapist, a healer, a coach, whatever is calling to you. Surround yourself with as much support as you need to heal. And tapping can be a part of that. It doesn't have to be the only thing, and I think it is just a component. It is a tool, and a useful tool, to help us to shift, but it is not the only thing. And so give yourself as much support as you need on your journey to healing. The last question is, how often should I do tapping? Okay, again, tapping again is a tool, and I would say tap often, perhaps every day if you can, or maybe every other day. I'm not going to give you a set answer of that's right or wrong. I would say the most important thing is that you do it. I think it's human nature that we know what's good for us and we know what we should do. We know we should eat well and exercise and things like that. And then sometimes we tend to not do what we know we should do or know that what would be good for us. So the most important thing is to do it. Even though sometimes your mind will put up resistance. Oh, I know this would help, but no, I don't feel like doing it. No, I don't want to say it. Nah. So that is all the more reason to do it. That's kind of the ego saying, I want to be in control and I don't want to change and I don't want to face it and I don't want to feel it and just, never mind. Just recognize that for what it is and see if you can just say, okay, I'm just going to do this for 2 minutes, or I'm just going to do it for 5 minutes just to get you started, just to get you going. And then once you get started tapping, it'll likely go on for longer than that. But if that's all you do, then that's fine. Just remember, it's the ego that is going to put up a big fight, because the ego, sometimes it wants to stay in that place of disempowerment. It wants to stay in that place of feeling like a victim, and it wants to be in control. And that's just what that voice is. So if you tap for 5 minutes, great. If you tap for more, great. It's really up to you. But just know this is a tool in your toolbox, and if it works for you, great. Use that tool to help you to shift and to heal. So that's it for today's video. I hope that these answers to these questions helped, and that you will continue tapping and keep going on your healing journey. It takes a lot of courage. So I commend you for doing this work. Thank you so much for being here. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.